Hey, welcome to my podcast, Cold Narratives. I'm your host, Iceberg Green. About to let y'all hear some of these cold narratives. Check it out. Okay, so this is from the Glenn Beck podcast. And he bought a guest on here. She's like Snowden, she's like the new Snowden of the world. But she's exposing a lot of stuff with Jeffrey Epstein and a lot of stuff that he has ties to politics and how they pretty much control the narrative of what's going on. And these people are the ones that are behind the scenes on top making decisions, man, on the stuff we see and watch on TV, the policies that get passed. These are the people with power, man, and they're pretty much as corrupt as America's been since the beginning. So this woman name is Whitney Webb, and she's pretty much exposing Epstein for what he is. This is her take on it. Check it out.
You worried ever about your safety?
No, and the reason I say that is because I think, a lot of what we're facing is an energetic and spiritual battle, I guess you could say. And I think in order, if you're afraid of these people, you're giving them power over you. And I think really the only way to win this is to have your commitment to, what you're fighting for, the good about humanity, to be total.
We have to start with Jeffrey Epstein, because the way you have written about him, it connects to a whole world of corruption.
Yeah.
Is he kind of the Rosetta Stone?
Yeah, I think it's sort of like a meta scandal. You're looking at someone who really had, I guess, for lack of a better metaphor, had his hands in a lot of pies, right?
Yeah, right.
So he was sort of at the center of a lot of scandals, but not necessarily at the top, right? I think he was more maybe middle management in a sense, but very central to a lot of these things going on, that sort of these networks in which he inhabits are involved in, numerous acts of corruption simultaneously.
Yeah.
He, is there involved in many of them, but not necessarily at the top level, right? Of sexual blackmail for the CIA. And then you have allegations of Roy Cohn, the well-known New York mob attorney, also being involved in sexual blackmail stuff, begins working for Adnan Khashoggi in the same period of time in the 1980s. The more you look, it's quite, it's prevalent. But, how prevalent it is, I can't really say, but it definitely does influence our politics, and that's disturbing.
Okay, so she dropping names. This is the type of stuff that is more important than a ASAP Rocky and Rihanna cover of Vogue. Man, this type of stuff is more important than that, y'all. So this woman is exposing people for what they are. Jeffrey Epstein was pretty much the middleman. It's people that was hired in him doing the same, participating allegedly in the same activities as him. So you just think about that for a moment. This guy is a multimillionaire, has ties to a whole lot of different people, and he's just a middleman. Just imagine the people that ahead of him and the things that they were capable of doing that were, corrupt, and oh man, this is crazy, man. Check it out, man. She got some more to say.
Because conspiracy is a real crime, and it's happening,
Right.
and it's been happening.
Right.
And, a lot of us are sort of fed this, when we're in school and stuff, sort of this naive, I guess you could call it a fairy tale version of history, where there's no corruption, everything's fine. The mob disappeared decades ago,
Right.
Nothing to see here, but that's not the
Right.
real history of this country. I mean, even mainstream media before the recent conflict there was, pretty open about the corruption in Ukraine. At this point, I think my politics are, I don't want the government to be run by organized crime.
That's where
And I think that's a starting point for most Americans. Let's start there.
Right. That's what I was driving to is, there are big things on the table that no one's talking about. And
we're all focused on the little stuff they've used to divide and conquer us this
Right.
whole time. And big things are happening. And basically we are being herded into a techno-feudalism,
Yes.
slavery. I don't know. There's a lot of different names for it going around, but it's not good.
Right.
And it's organized crime, running the show.
At the highest level.
So think about it. We got people like Dana White, Ari Emanuel, we got all these different Jeffrey Epsteins and all these white supremacists. These people get swept under the rug, but we are highlighted in so many different ways when it comes to the media. It's like they love putting black people dying on television, but there's mass murders, mass white on white crimes, mass Asian on Asian crime. There's mass a whole lot of that, but they love seeing black people on TV down, depressed, fighting each other, angry, never beautiful, never happy, not always happy. This is what they want. Okay, so now as a man, we just gonna speak from the ASAP Rocky perspective. As a man, would you, want to be seen in that light as a feminine figure, or do you want to be seen as a masculine figure? And that only applies in Hollywood because a lot of these dudes don't know what they are, masculine or feminine, because they go both ways pretty much in this shit. So I want to let you guys know, don't read too much into that. It's just a Vogue. They're not geared toward black people. It's a magazine, a British or some shit like that. It's not even American. So don't expect them to put black people in the right light. Ebony barely do it. Did you see the issue of Ebony with the guy? Oh my goodness. But anyway, that's a whole nother topic. But that's for real though, y'all. Don't read too much into that weasel shit.
And there's so many stories now that just don't add up. Public assassinations can happen right in front of you, and you'll never know who was really behind it or why, as long as the powers that be push a great narrative, the same lie over and over and over again. Jeffrey Epstein infiltrated the highest ranks of every sector of power. You are going to learn a lot about the world today. He was into law enforcement, art, Wall Street, Silicon Valley, big business, real estate, philanthropy, media, academics, and banking. He even wormed his way into high fashion. He hung out with Nobel Prize-winning scientists and billionaire arms dealers, movie directors, famous actors, journalists, and lots of politicians, including heads of state, not just here in America. And he has a very special bond with Bill and Hillary Clinton. We still don't know who took part in his many crimes, and they are vast. This is nothing short of political terrorism, theater facilitated by the media.
I want to thank you all for tuning in. I want to say God bless everyone going through the struggle, and watch out for them cold narratives that the government be trying to push on us, y'all. And to all my black people, I would be nothing without y'all. Thank you all.
I'm a child of God. Man, I'm telling y'all, I'm a child of God. Man, tell me if you a child of God. Feel it if you a child of God. Yeah. You picked me up when I fell down, all the way from the underground. Them cells kept me locked down. Oh, I can see hell now, but I ain't no cat. I see these niggas begging for the cheese. He must be a rat. Stay away.